Hi everyone, this is round 4 of the tournament I played, and I think my idea was to go through all 4 of the remaining games here tonight, and that also means that these videos will be quite short. So I was white against, again, not nothing personal, but yeah, on paper I was the stronger player already for the 3rd round in a row, and you might remember yesterday I showed you some two draws, both of which I should have won in a way. Now let's see what happens. So d4, d5, c4, e6, knight c3, c5. So this is the Tarrasch defense. And there's lots of different ways of meeting it. I don't think I've ever faced it in a real game. I used to play it with black, so I just went for one of the main lines here. C takes, e takes, bring out the knights, fianchetto your bishop, and eventually, hopefully, you will manage to put some pressure on d5. And d takes c5 is one of the moves that is supposed to be dangerous for black. I had no idea why he took, and I knew that a3 is a tricky move that nowadays is played. He didn't know this, so he just went for something that he thought was good. a6, and of course the idea behind a3 was to play b4. And here he made a serious mistake already. So 2 moves after coming out of book, he made, so to speak, losing mistake, strategically losing mistake. And this was bishop a7. And after this, bishop g5 is very strong, of course. So this pin, so normally his bishop would be on e7, castles, and now bishop g5 is the main line. And now there are 3 main moves that black has. C takes d4, after which, of course, black will have kind of problems defending his isolated pawn, but he will have a lot of play for it. And then there is c4, with the idea of pushing all the pawns on the queen side, and hoping that there is no major pressure on d5 anytime soon. And then there is the very passive looking but still playable bishop e6, which will go into an endgame. I don't remember exactly how, but I didn't want to know what his main move here is. Probably c takes d4 is kind of the old-fashioned line, and I think the most famous one. But my main point is here is that bishop g5 here works a bit less, of course, because of this guy. And if he tucked his bishop away to a7, of course, bishop g5 is very strong now. So black is basically out of moves. Of course, I'm threatening to take the knight and take the pawn. And not even bishop e6 that he played helps here, because I can just take, and he still can't take with the queen, because I will just take the pawn. I'm attacking it twice, and he was defending it only once. Well, twice, but one of them was the knight that just disappeared. So he needed to take with the pawn, and now, of course, these pawns are not great. His king is not great. On the other hand, I gave him the 2 bishops, so I still need to be a bit careful. So e3, I mean, this is kind of shuffling around. I can't just go through all the possibilities here. Rook c8, knight e2, eyeing d4, but you will see more on that later. Knight e7. He should have gone knight e5 here for sure. And of course, I'm not going to take it, fixing his pawns. Fixing in a good way for him, I mean, fixed, not like kind of forcing them somewhere, or something like that. Rather, I mean, like not like restraining his pawns, but rather repairing them. so I'm not gonna do that. I would just play one of these moves, which I did play anyway. It's just that his knight is of course very active now. So knight e2, knight e7, knight fd4, bishop g4. He's trying to activate his pieces, but it takes a while. Queen b3, queen d7, rook ac1, b5. So he is eyeing c4. And now this is probably the next move that I made is probably the worst that I made during the whole tournament, even though I made some losing blunders as well, and I actually ended up winning this game. But this move is really bad, unless I have a perfect reason for it. This is totally intolerable. I played f3. Sorry, f3. This is really bad. Like, this is basically throwing away everything. I can just play whatever. So I mean, there's like knight f4 or something. And I mean, the game is just carrying on. I can't just show you like concrete variations here. But f3, unless I see an absolute win, is just nonsense. So I mean, my idea was, oh, I can just after bishop e6, I can have some kind of an attack. But unless I know for sure, then this is just weakening everything. So weakening this diagonal, weakening the bishop, of course. So it's all just really bad. Weakening, yeah, the pawn itself. This basically literally threw away all of my advantage, according to the computer. Queen d3, hoping to come in. Rook c4, knight f4, rook fc8, and now I'm forced to take. And now I played queen e4, so actually this is bad. I should have just gone for queen c3, as far as I remember. Not too important. This is roughly equal, although black is a bit better. Queen e4, it's a bit hard to fold myself, so queen e4 is technically an inaccuracy, but only for a weird reason. So black needs to play f5, queen e5, knight g6, and here if I go queen f6, attempting to attack, he can just take my knight and then push the pawn. And this is almost winning for black, apparently. A complicated line. It's not so easy to see why exactly is f5 so strong, and this is for this specific reason. And if I take, again, he can just push the pawn. And with the two bishops, and no obvious attacking plan for me, this is again very good for black. However, he played bishop f5, after which I'm pretty strong. In fact, here a very easy move to win pretty much is bishop h3, just piling on the knight. And if he wants to take, so if he takes the pawn, I just move away, and knight is lost. And if he takes this guy like this, again I can just take the queen. And the best move apparently is queen e8, sorry, rook e8, when I have this really weird sequence of moves. But at the end of it, I will have a piece up, although he will have a passed pawn, but it's still good for white. Anyways, bishop h3 would have been nice, but I played knight d5, so this was the position. And I thought, oh, I mean, this must be strong. I'm threatening f6, I'm threatening queen g4, I'm threatening bishop h3. So I saw bishop h3, but I thought, wow, this must be stronger. And now he played queen e6, which is a losing move. If you want to think about it, why, just, pause the video and think about it. It's a pretty easy tactic, so actually just queen takes f5. And I have my little fork trick. So he played this intermediate move, bishop e3 check. And here I have two options, and I actually chose the wrong one. So I just went king h1, queen takes queen, knight, and then knight takes queen. This is still winning for me, so I'm still winning. But of course he has this pressure with the passed pawn, like this, something like this. What could have been more interesting is just taking this. And now if he tries to do this, this is very lame. I have, well, I mean, wait. This is not that it's very lame. I'm 2 pieces up, so whatever. But of course he doesn't need to do that. But he has this queen takes and king h1. And the thing is that it's actually easier for me to stop this pawn with the queens on, because his queen can't just come and try to push the pawn, because I will immediately checkmate him pretty much. So he needs to be a bit vigilant here, how he goes about stuff. If he decides to use his rook in defense only, then I will very easily hold back his queen with the queen and the rook and the bishop. So that's kind of the logical way of thinking about it, and obviously the way that I didn't think about it. So that's pretty bad. But I mean, this was also kind of okay. So I made the precise move of knight d4, c3, and bishop and knight c2, and there's no easy way for him to get rid of this knight now. King e7, f4, rook c7, not obvious what he's doing here. And now bishop e4, very simple stuff. And h6, so he didn't want to let my bishop in. And now rook f3, it's not too important to look at all the other moves. We played for another 25 moves actually. And in the end I won this. So his passed pawn is safely blockaded. This knight is covering a3 in case he wants to come in. And eventually I came up with my king and also activated my rook like the way you saw it, rook f3. Of course he didn't want to swap stuff, but that also meant that I just came in somehow, doesn't really matter, and just cleaned up all his pawns. So, and also from time to time I also moved up with my knight. Not too important. I played a pretty good game after this. So this was my second win, and after this I had 3 out of 4. So I was pretty happy with +2. Of course, all 4 of my opponents were on paper, they were weaker than me, but it's still a nice feeling of being undefeated already for a while. And I will show you what happened in the next game in a minute. See you there.